I'm just inviting people into the chat as they come in. Okay, and a nice as well, which is really okay. I'll make a start now then. So I just want to say thank you very much to everybody who's joined for this special event in collaboration with Space4All, my astronomy organisation, and the International Dark Sky Association. So in this special virtual astronomy workshop, we will be discussing International Dark Sky Week. This is a whole series of virtual events which are taking across this week in collaboration with the IDA. And I'm delighted to have some of the delegates from the IDA joining me currently. So just to say hello to you who are on the chat, and lovely to see as many of you joining the chat as well. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes just for a couple of people to join in, and we'll be on a roll. So first of all, we'll go for it in just a minute. But as always, could you all please make sure to mute yourselves for the purposes of this virtual workshop? On a good start to get this workshop rolling. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes as we get set up, and then we'll be ready to go. So let's have a look here. Just gradually invite a few more people in.
What's that now?
So yes, a special week this week from April the 5th to the 12th, and already been some very exciting talks across the International Dark Sky Association from around to discover the night, to recognise the importance of light pollution and its impact to the natural environment, but most importantly, to engage as many of us with the night sky, which is something that we are losing as a part of our modern society today. So we'll go into more discussion about that as the talk goes on. And I would say we're nearing to about 3 minutes past now, so we'll just let a few more people join in, a couple more people joining in. So just to say hello to everybody, thank you very much for attending this virtual astronomy workshop with Space4All in collaboration with the International Dark Sky Association. So a lovely collaboration here with a lovely group of people from the IDA, and we are all delegates from around the world raising public awareness for light pollution in light of the climate emergency, and raising issues to address the lighting crisis and performing sustainable lighting solutions, and how we can protect our dark skies for future generations. So it looks like now we're nearing to 5 minutes past, so I'll get this workshop on a roll. I can see all you lovely people at the top of my screen, and just to confirm that you can hear me 100%, if you can hold your thumbs up, yes, it's lovely to see all of you. Right, okay, let's get this workshop on the roll then, shall we? So here we go. And just get this into presentation screen, give me 2 seconds. Okay. Right, so here we go. So for those who are just joining, I just want to say thank you very much for joining this special virtual astronomy workshop. And this is a special week because it's International Dark Sky Week. It's an event that we have been planning for a long time at the International Dark Sky Association to bring International Dark Sky Week. So we'll get this workshop on the roll. So if we could just get this one sorted very quickly. Just a couple of house rules, a couple of quick instructions. If everybody can please mute themselves for the purposes of this workshop, there will be a couple of activities where I'll ask you to unmute yourselves. So just bear that one in mind. And if anybody has any questions, please make sure to use the chat tool, beginning with the word question. Otherwise, if you'd like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand tool, and then I'll be more than happy to help as soon as I can. So for those who are joining from around the world, I think it's best to describe what this is. What is Space4All? So Space4All is an astronomy organisation that I set up in 2020 to teach the basics of practical astronomy and to engage members from all backgrounds. So this short film on YouTube gives a flavour of who I am and what I'd like to achieve with Space4All and the IDA. My name's Josh Dury, and I am the founder of Space4All. Space4All is an astronomy organisation to actively promote practical astronomy and to engage members from all backgrounds. In recent years, I have seen a growing demand for those wishing to look up at the night sky. Now couldn't be a more important time to observe the night sky. In light of the climate emergency, we are seeing the effects of light pollution and mega satellite constellations impact our view of the night sky. And within the next 5 years, our view of the night sky will change. I am very much an advocate whereby we must be inspired by something in order to protect it. And this is why I'm creating a series of YouTube videos to teach you guys at home how to observe the night sky. I would just like to say thank you very much for your interest in Space4All. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our social media channels to follow our latest work. And here's to clear skies and all the best. Whoa, what an introduction, hey? So let me get on to the next part of this workshop. Okay, so now you guys know what I'd like to achieve. So my astronomy organisation, Space4All, has the purpose of teaching practical astronomy from all backgrounds in order to do just that, to consider and to recognise the importance in protecting dark skies from light pollution and the likes of mega satellite constellations. But most importantly, as was demonstrated last year in 2020, is to keep us all connected through the stars in these unprecedented times. And there's so many events which happened last year which proved just that. So, most important slogan of this week, let's discover the night, our view of the universe and the climate emergency. So what impact is light pollution having exactly to our natural environment? First of all, I think it's important to discuss the International Dark Sky Association. It's a group which I am so fond of, and I've met so many amazing people along my way. So it all began really just as a bit of background for myself, that I got interested in light pollution about 2 or 3 years ago now. And it was the consideration that I was studying for my photography degree in the city of Bristol and recognised plastic crisis was being discussed by the likes of Blue Planet 2 by the BBC's Natural History Unit. With my interest in astronomy and filmmaking, I thought, hold on here, there's a correlation. So why is light pollution not being discussed? And this is where I went on to produce a series of films to raise public awareness on the issue. And since working with local organisations, and then suddenly I was able to meet who is now a fellow delegate and colleague of the IDA, who is Betty Meyer Foote, who is based in Tucson, Arizona. This is where the IDA is based, to which they then accepted me as a delegate to represent Bristol and the southwest of England as a part of the International Dark Sky Association. And our mission is to protect the night and to recognise the importance of dark sky places and to have these protected for future generations, whilst also adapting to sustainable lighting practices in order to protect the night and minimize the effects of light pollution. Now, as some of you may be aware from recent statistics from the CPRE, from the recent star count, we found out that light pollution was minimized by 10% last year, mainly due to the reduced movement of traffic and movement. So already it shows that even during the lockdown, we have seen a drastic change to the quality of our dark skies. So already there's been some amazing work with more places being classified for dark sky status, and some very good work happening at the moment in Northumberland and recently the Cranbourne Chase area based down in Dorset. So some very exciting news. So we'll just get this on the roll as well. So, as I've already mentioned then, who is this chap, Josh Dury, recognising light pollution with the climate emergency, raising public awareness of astronomy and dark skies, but also to consider wildlife conservation. How is this impacting nocturnal species and even the food chain? And what implications does this have to our human health? So this is what we'll be discussing in all for the purposes of this presentation. So this image, I believe, is one of the most striking images I've seen personally myself, and was taken on board the International Space Station. This is the United Kingdom and Western Europe imaged at night. And for me, this struck me because not only for when you first see this image at first hand, you think, wow, isn't that a beautiful image? You can see the lights of so many continents from around the globe. But when you consider, when you look at this image, you are looking at so many forms of artificial light at night that it's creating sky glow, which can be seen and viewed from space. This is insane. And already from this image, we can see the lights of the major cities and capitals across the United Kingdom. So just as circled by my mouse, this is where I'm based near towards, which is the city of Bristol in the southwest of England. And just for purposes of scale, here is London up towards Birmingham and then Manchester and then on to Scotland, Ireland, and also Wales, which is pretty much a dark sky country from observing this image. But again, this is a global issue and is of great concern for all purposes relating to natural implications. And I can best demonstrate this again by highlighting these lights which appear to be out in the ocean. And that's true because those lights which you're seeing in this image are the effects of oil and rig gas platforms burning off excess gas. This can be observed from space, people. The next one is an image of the United States of America, some of whom are joining in on this talk right now. And as you can see, in the eastern side of the United States, we can see some different forms of light pollution from space. But one thing I want to highlight just to demonstrate this is this area in the United States. And this shocked me a little bit because this light which you're seeing is the result of fracking. And this can be observed from space as well. So already we're considering how much light is being shining upwards and what implications does this have, not only from a financial perspective, but what is this doing to the likes of the climate emergency, our fossil fuel consumption on so many levels. So already there's a number of things which are building up here, which can, easily be solved, but we'll go into that discussion a bit later on. So first of all, my passion, which is astronomy and dark skies. The night sky is an incredible place. For anybody who's looked up on a cold, clear night and looks up to the stars in awe and wonder, they realize the significance of our heritage and our cultural existence. Why? Because it demonstrates our open window to the universe, and it's the place where we recognized our place in the universe. However, there's other implications which relate to more professional matters, such as professional astronomical observations. Ultimately, light pollution creates sky glow, which ultimately reduces the contrast of the night sky, which makes it more difficult to observe fainter stars, and so much so even the major constellations themselves. So light pollution can affect some of the most well-established observatories in the world. And also, which I campaign for, is that the night sky is so important as a part of our physical and mental well-being, which I'll discuss in human health. But looking up to the night sky and connecting with our natural environment has been so important. A good example was last year, where we saw the amazing celestial event, which was Comet Neowise gracefully passing through our solar system. This was so important on so many levels, because even though we may have been disconnected from each other and been more separated than ever, this comet connected us through the night sky during lockdown and was so important to connect with the stars.
I get it with air miles.
Just that there are other further implications in relation to dark skies. It's not just astronomy which is being affected. We also have wildlife conservation. So already we're thinking about nocturnal wildlife. What impact is this having to wildlife corridors along our hedgerows where nocturnal forms of wildlife exist? From my recent work as a night sky conservationist, I've learned that in the UK, there is a significant impact towards dark skies in relation to barn owl populations, bats, as well as hedgehogs. So already there's so many implications which we have to consider in relation to protecting the night. And something else as well, some of you may remember the film Bug's Life, where you could see all these insects flying towards that light. Again, this just demonstrates how forms of wildlife like insects are attracted to light and how much this can impact insect populations. And if I was to tell you that light pollution is having an impact on the food chain, this is a worrying statistic, not because the fact that insect populations are being decreased has an impact further up the food chain. So already we have to consider how lighting is appropriately used to protect these forms of wildlife. As I mentioned, with oil and rig platforms out at the North Sea, this impacts marine life and travel corridors for marine forms of life. But again, there's also evidence to suggest impacts to tree populations as well, in the form of photosynthesis. How artificial light at night has an impact to the 24-hour light cycle. So it just shows more than ever that through natural processes, we need to protect the night. So already it's all a matter of public awareness and addressing the issue in order to make change. So already another impact is human health. Now, this is a newly developing area of light pollution study, which suggests that there is an impact to sleep patterns, but more noticeably, the impact to bodily hormones when exposed to artificial light at night. And most and more notably, noted in the presentation slide, is the impact this has to the production of a bodily hormone called melatonin, which is responsible for maintaining our sleep cycles. So if we can't maintain our natural bodily rhythms, we're effectively making ourselves abnormal by interrupting the natural 24-hour light cycle, which is happening at this moment in time. There's also been some more recent research rather to suggest that there is a link between exposure to light at night and the developments of some forms of thyroid cancer. So already there is some concerns here which are newly emerging through continued research and development as to how light pollution is affecting us in all aspects. But most more noticeably, and I've noticed even myself as an astronomer in my lifetime, I'm 23, that light pollution is growing at a rapid rate. Myself, I'm based at the Mendip Hills, which is an area of outstanding natural beauty, and I am seeing artificial lights being installed pretty much now on a month-by-month basis. Consideration that we can see a changing landscape. And with light shining through our windows, or wherever that may be in terms of residential property, light pollution can be classed as a public nuisance because it's an interference to our normal everyday activities. And it's all about how we use lighting in the right adopted practices, only where and when needed. And just to say for everybody just listening, if you're just able to mute yourself just for the purposes of this workshop, that would be much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Hold the school longer.
Okay then, so it's all about light. So most importantly, as I said, it's about adopting the correct lighting policies. We have to consider how lighting, rather than shining upwards, should realistically be shining below the horizontal within indoor and outdoor settings. And realistically, lighting can be best demonstrated by being shielded. One of my friends, Bob Misen, who is a campaigner for Dark Skies based in Dorset, has launched an initiative to have all of the street lighting around his residential property shielded. And I thought was such an amazing thing to see when I went to visit him a couple of years ago. But also in my local city, in the city of Bristol, we have seen this happen already. If you take the likes of the Clifton Suspension Bridge, and for those of you who are locals to Bristol will know what I'm talking about here, but all the lighting is shielded and it's only being used directly for its application and is already seen as a brilliant example of lighting design in the UK's climate capital. So again, lighting, it should be used only where and when needed, being the right brightness so that it isn't too bright and is only used for the right application. But also considering color temperature as well. There's all these implications which can happen with light pollution as well. But to consider that we need to minimize blue light and that we don't use any more than 3000 Kelvin in terms of color temperature. So already these are some of the implications we need to adopt when moving forward in the dark sky movement to protect the night. It's all effectively about making sure light is shining below the horizontal. So something as well, just to mention that we as delegates of the International Dark Sky Association are here to help you. So if you have any lighting concerns, please get in touch with your nearest delegate. So for those who are based in the southwest of England, you're talking to one of them here, but also I've got a number of friends from across the UK, which I'm more than happy to mention as well, such as Megan Eves, who's a delegate based in London, and Roy Alexander as well, just to name a couple of names of delegates here in the UK. And they're worth getting in chat to as well, because we're all like-minded individuals sharing a passion for the same subject in order to make change. So just to bear that one in mind, and you can find the location of your nearest delegate at www.darksky.org. So these are just a couple of fun activities which were raised by the International Dark Sky Association ahead of International Dark Sky Week. So for those of you who would like to take further reading, I can personally recommend a series of reads from the book list which we have compiled especially for this week of events. One of them, which I can personally relate to, is The World at Night by Babak Tafreshi. He is a world-profound astrophotographer and really documents the impact of the lighting crisis from around the globe in collaboration with other professional astrophotographers. But again, there's some other really interesting reading. Under the Stars, A Journey into Light by Matt Gore, another really good read into understanding our perception of the universe and how light pollution is affecting this view to the cosmos. Another one as well to mention is The End of Night by Paul Bogard. Again, another read as to how light pollution has advanced well within the past 100 years and how we were once exposed to a truly dark sky and how this is something that we are losing now in the 21st century and need to be protecting the places that are currently dark skies and what we have left. So if you guys want to take a note of this, if you want to send me an email for a copy of our book list, then please do get in touch. Also, something which is worth mentioning, and I briefly mentioned earlier, is that the CPRE, which here in England is the Countryside Charity Campaign to Protect Rural England, has released its most recent statistics for the CPRE star count. So it's the best model that we now have on the sprawl of light pollution across the United Kingdom. And we had well over 7,000 participants, and I myself submitted a star count this year, which was a good bit of fun, looking in the constellation of Orion. And this is what we can currently see. So already, you know, I don't need to describe it, guys, but, you know, the amount of stars which have been visible in our most developed towns and cities, you can see it highlighted in red. The UK is pretty much a very highly light polluted developing country, and we are now recognizing more of our dark sky places in order to minimize these effects. But please take a look on the CPRE website. It's a very useful source of information, again, as another local organization doing their best efforts to raise public awareness of this issue. Now, this is a little bit of fun as well, so, you know, please feel free to take part if you so wish. But for those of you who would like to understand more about their local impacts to light pollution, I created this little template. So for those of you who wish to count the stars in Orion, I have created a star finder. So when you next have a clear sky, cut out this template and help use it to locate the constellation of Orion. And what I'd like you to do, as demonstrated in this illustration in the center, is to use the stars in Orion, which I'll highlight now on my computer screen. So this is joined up by the 4 main bright stars of Orion, including Betelgeuse and Rigel. And the idea is to try and count the number of stars visible in this rectangle. Now, this will determine how dark your night sky is. In particular, if you can view 10 stars or fewer, you are currently located in a region of severe light pollution, which I think is good for your cultural understanding in terms of local geography here in the UK. But if you're very lucky, fingers crossed, if you can count 30 stars or more, you are in a designated dark sky place with truly dark skies. So just for a bit of fun, guys, to engage all of us with this talk, if you would like a copy of this template for a bit of fun when you next get a clear sky, then please do get in touch after this presentation. Another fun interactive activity as well is the International Dark Sky Week Bingo. So it's already a series of fun activities to engage us through the night sky and discover the night. So if you'd like a copy of playing International Dark Sky Bingo, again, please make sure to keep in touch at the end of this presentation, or please use the chat tool at the bottom of the presentation if you'd like a copy. Also, just a few other resources as well, just to help you within your astronomical endeavours. I've created a series of beginner astronomy videos, which are now available on my YouTube channel at Josh Dury Photo Media, and which I'll also be uploading to the Space4All YouTube channel. And it's to do just that with my initiative for Space4All to teach the basics of astronomy with the bigger goal of raising public awareness of light pollution and how we can make change. So if you'd like to watch those in your free time as well, there's a couple of links to those too. So there's another video I produced as well for International Dark Sky Week, which you're more than welcome to take a look at as well, as I mentioned on my YouTube channels. But again, just to say thank you very much for watching this presentation, and please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the Space4All social media channels. And just to remember one thing as well, it can only work, guys, if we spread the word. So if you know anybody who shares a passion or an interest in the night sky or stargazing, please make sure to get in touch, because that's what my mission is to get as many of us interested through learning the basics of astronomy, whether that be from setting up your telescope, binoculars, or even taking photographs of the night sky. That's my initiative of what I'd like to achieve with Space4All. So for those of you who are new to Space4All as well, we've been doing a series of virtual astronomy workshops throughout the year. So our last or most recent workshop was about the moon, where we looked at the moon virtually through a webcam using a telescope on our computer screen on Zoom. And the next event, which I'll have coming up in just a second, is in April, where we'll be able to discuss deep sky objects. And I've got the dates for these events at the end of this presentation. But if you'd like to join, if any of these events take any interest with you, whether that be celestial events, looking at the sun, the Milky Way, stargazing through binoculars, these are just some of the events which I'd like to engage us through, and can all be variant on changes to lockdown restrictions if we're again able to meet in person. So now I suppose is the time where I'll ask you guys to unmute yourselves if you have any questions at all. I'll also be taking a look now at the chat. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching, and I will take a look now at the chat tool. So let's have a look. Let's go back and stop share and have a look at who's on the chat. Right then, so lovely. Does anybody have any questions about light pollution and its impact to the natural environment? Nobody at all? No? Okay. Well, listen, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for attending this workshop in collaboration with the International Dark Sky Association and Space4All. And I'd like to say also, if you'd like to join our latest workshop, that'll be coming up at the end of this month to look at deep sky objects. And otherwise, we are finishing a bit early, actually, 20 to 7. Unless anybody has any questions, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching this virtual astronomy workshop. And I'd like to wish everybody clear skies and all the best.